Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about another one of the things that helped me in life, and that was my grandfather's example. I'm talking about my maternal grandfather, so my mother's father. When I was a small child, I got to spend quite a lot of time with him, and he was always so handy around the house. He knew how to do everything to take care of the house. He could build things, he could repair things, and if he didn't know how to do something, he knew how to find the people that could help him. And I remember as a little boy helping him around the house and just being in wonder of him because he knew how to do so many things. He didn't even have 8 classes of school. He grew up in the countryside in a small village, and I'm not sure exactly when, maybe when he was around the 5th or 6th grade, he was sent to be a servant, a farmhand on someone's estate. And so he never got to finish school. And he had to live in the stables. He would sleep in the stables and take care of the animals. That's the way it was back then in Romania. This was pre-World War II, just before World War II maybe. And yeah, things were still very much medieval here in Transylvania. But in spite of the lack of education that he had, he was a very hard worker, and so he came to the city and he got himself hired at one of the factories here, and he advanced to the ranks and became one of the people that would design the very things that made the factory work. This was a factory that made all of the products for the natural gas pipelines in the country. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Romania was one of the first countries in the world to start exploiting natural gas back in the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken, end of the 19th century. But I know for a fact that it was one of the first. And so it was right here in the city where my grandfather came that the main factory that built pipes and pumps and compressors and pressure regulators and all of the things that go into running the pipelines and extracting the gas from the ground and everything and delivering it to people's homes. That was the main factory at that time. And he advanced to the ranks to the point where he would actually patent things. He would work on patentable designs for the various machinery in the factory. And I admire him very much for that, because to think a little farm hand from the country with probably less than 6 grades of education worked his way up to the point where he did those things. That's pretty amazing. I even have among my documents in my archive medals that he received from the president of the country at that time for his inventions, which might very well still be in use in the natural gas industry here in Romania. I don't know. I don't know, because at that time patents didn't work in Romania the way they work in the States, where you can actually sell them to a company. Or he simply did his job. He wanted to do it well. He wanted to come up with things that would make the work easier. And yeah, he built all of these designs that may still be in use. I don't know. But I remember, again, coming back to being a small child and being in front of, there with my grandfather and seeing him work and wondering how he knew how to do all those things. And I would offer what little help I could. I was probably more of a nuisance than anything to him. But he was very patient with me. And I am so grateful for that, because nowadays I found myself in the position where I had to do things around the house, where I had to do even construction work, renovation work, restoration work, both in the United States and in Romania. We're actually right now restoring a couple of Saxon monuments here in southern Transylvania. What used to be a parochial house and also a medieval church. We've begun work on those two things, so that's one of our projects now. But what I wanted to say is that if it weren't for my grandfather, I wouldn't know how to do all the things that I know how to do today. Even though I didn't get to learn them from him, I just watched him do those things. I was too little to actually get to build stuff. I would knock a nail in here and there, hand him tools, that sort of thing. But when I began to find myself in those situations where I had to do these things, I would think of him and think about how he wasn't intimidated by the situations or by the things he had to fix, and he somehow figured out how to do it. And I take great encouragement from that. And I say, well, if he could do it, then I can do it. I watched him do it. I can also do it. And I go out there and learn how to do things if I don't know how to do them. And I get over that initial fear of starting a project, because it's a daunting prospect to find yourself faced with, for example, say, what's one of the projects I did? Like this winter, I reinstalled the gas furnace and redid the piping for it to make it work more efficiently, to fix some issues that existed there. And that is a daunting prospect, really, to find yourself in a situation where you got to fix something that the professionals did wrong. And that's the situation I found myself in. But I got down to do it. And that was because of my grandfather. I wasn't afraid of it because he wasn't afraid of these things. He would take it step by step and just do it, and ask for help when he couldn't. He would get maybe an expert to come in and give him a bit of advice about how to proceed here and there, and he would then do it. And that's the same thing I find myself doing these days, and I have him to thank for that. And the takeaway, I guess, from this is that if you have somebody in your family who is handy around the house or handy with various work, physical work that needs to be done, hang around them as a child. Because while you may not learn what they're doing or fully understand what they're doing, it's going to come in later on. It's going to be very useful to you. If you've got a relative that maybe has a small business and they do this kind of blue-collar work, what's considered blue-collar work, or what's called blue-collar work, spend a summer with them if you're in high school or in college, and apprentice with them. Even if you only go once a week, even if you don't do much, apprentice with them. Just go and hang around, let it soak in. And later on in life, when you find yourself in a situation where you need to do that kind of work, you won't be so afraid of it. You may even know where to begin, or if not, you'll certainly know who to ask for help. And I know there are a ton of DIY videos on YouTube and on other websites out there nowadays, and you can just Google something and find out right away how to do it. But it's just not the same thing. It's not. It really gives you a different perspective on how to do something when you're there physically with the person that's doing the work, and you see them doing the prep work, when you see them putting together the list of materials that they're going to need for the job, when you see them getting their tools together and actually beginning the work and then taking it to completion in front of you physically, it's a very different experience than what you get on YouTube, where the videos are edited for duration, and they're edited to take out the parts that are tedious or boring, and or say where the person doing the video may not look so good or may not look so professional because they made a mistake and they got to fix it. So that it's that kind of stuff where you really learn how to do the things that you need to do, and that's the kind of stuff you need to experience firsthand in life. So if you've got someone like my grandfather in your life, then by all means cherish them, learn from them, hang out with them, because it's going to pay dividends throughout your life. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.